It's very rare for people to be struck by lightning, and those who survive after being struck by lightning are even rarer, so we can actually consider all the people in today's list extremely lucky. Here are 10 people who got struck by lightning, and with all that said and done, let's begin, shall we? Number 10. Winston Kemp. Back over in 2011, during a heavy spring storm, 24-year-old Winston Kemp ran out to his garden to save his pumpkins from the pummeling rain. As he was heading back inside after securing his crop, lightning struck with a loud and bright blast in his neighbor's yard nearby. He was, of course, startled by the sudden blast, but thought nothing of it and went back inside his house. Within an hour, though, his arm started to feel sore. A couple more hours later, it really started to hurt. He had blisters on his arm the next day and called in sick to work. It actually took weeks to fully heal, and he complained of random pains even a month later. At least, though, he was alive, one of the lucky few to ever survive a lightning strike like that. Now, granted, he wasn't struck by lightning directly, it was more than likely ground lightning. But for all the pain, Kemp was rewarded with a beautiful lightning scar. And also, of course, still living. Number 9. BRITNEY WEHRLE. Also in 2011, 11-year-old BRITNEY was walking with a friend in the streets of Washington, Pennsylvania when she was suddenly struck by a lightning bolt. Okay, first, I know what you're thinking. Who in their right mind would be taking a walk during a thunderstorm, and why is this narrator so upbeat when he talks about this sort of thing? Well, nobody in their right mind would take a walk, and I'm upbeat because, hey, she lives. Although BRITNEY was of like mind. You see, on the day of the lightning struck her, it was actually pleasantly sunny, not stormy. The thing is, the lightning came from a storm that was happening a few miles away. Of course, being hit by lightning coming from a storm that was happening a few miles away is astronomical, but it does happen. Kind of, sort of. Lightning can travel miles before impacting the ground or an unfortunate person. BRITNEY didn't even realize it until she struggled to open the door to her home and she couldn't move her left arm. Next, she noticed a burn mark on her wrist and shoulder, and at the hospital, the doctors told her that the bolt had entered her body through the shoulder and exited through the wrist, breaking her arm in the process. Kid was lucky that it didn't reach her heart, and she went on to make a good recovery. Number 8. Alice Svensson. Lightning doesn't have to strike you directly to do some damage, as referenced in our first entry. Heck, you don't even have to be outside your house to be struck by a lightning, as it turns out. And that's exactly what happened to then 12-year-old Alice Svensson, who back in 2011, which it seems is a pretty good year for lightning strikes, was struck by lightning while taking a shower inside their basement bathroom. And get this, she wasn't struck just once, but actually twice. According to local news reports, Alice went down to the basement right after dinner to take a shower. Moments later, 2 loud claps of thunder had suddenly cracked outside and the rain began to pour. Then Alice's parents heard her scream. She had been struck by lightning, but her parents, who immediately came to her aid, didn't actually know what happened, or was about to happen even. While being attended to by her mother, still in the shower by the way, Alice gave another loud scream. She and her mother were completely oblivious as to what was happening. It was only days later, when they called an expert, did they find out that the lightning had struck her twice, which probably struck the ground and traveled through the pipes. Thankfully, it seems she did make a full recovery. Number 7. Austin Milton. Never, and I mean never, walk across an open field during a thunderstorm. That's a piece of old-school wisdom that then 14-year-old Austin Milton had to learn the hard way. Austin was at a basketball game in the gymnasium of La Pine Middle School one afternoon when a thunderstorm rolled in. The thunderstorm rolled in and knocked out the power to the school, and with nothing better to do, all the kids ran outside to watch the storm unfold. Austin, for some reason, decided to take a stroll across the open field outside the gym. He made it about 200 feet before he then got zapped. A bolt of lightning scored a direct hit, entering his body on the right side of his head and exiting through his right ankle. His hoodie sweatshirt was shredded and scorched by the bolt, and his right sneaker melted to his foot. He survived and was back to his cheery old self just days after the lightning strike though, so that's something to be happy about. He was actually a pretty good-natured boy about it. In fact, in an interview with Today, he told host Matt Lauer that he didn't care much for the Miracle Boy nickname that he was given, but he wouldn't mind being called Sparky. Number 6. JAIME Santana. April 2016, JAIME Santana was horseback riding in the woods along with his brother-in-law in Buckeye, Arizona. They were just about to ride home when a monsoon storm came rolling in. The two brothers decided to call it a day and rode home as quickly as they could. Unfortunately though, they weren't quick enough. Just a couple of miles away from their home, lightning struck both JAIME and his horse. The horse sadly crumpled to the ground dead, and JAIME was unconscious and fighting for his life. If it weren't for a man who was passing by and gave JAIME CPR, he probably wouldn't have survived. While he did survive, he was in a coma for a month and had to stay in the hospital for 6 additional months. This is definitely one of the sadder entries, as he lost the ability to walk and also his sense of taste. His arms and legs are also numb, but despite his condition, he's thankful for his second chance of life and to his beloved horse who took half the charge meant for him. Number 5. Peter McCarthy. Peter McCarthy was only 14 when he was struck by lightning. He was wading in water while mooring a boat when he was struck. Needless to say, he did survive the ordeal, but a few decades later, his luck changed for the better when he won $1 million in the lottery. Peter must be the only person to have been struck by lightning and win the lottery, right? Well, oddly enough, no. Make sure to stick with me till the end to find out who that lucky or unlucky person is. Number 4. Melvin Roberts. Well, he does live in South Carolina, a state wherein the chances of getting struck by lightning is a bit higher. He claims to have been struck by lightning while mowing his neighbor's lawn, twice when he was driving a bulldozer, and even once while doing nothing on a very sunny day. He claims that all 11 strikes happened within a 12-year period, with his wife stating that she'd witnessed every single one of them. And although he does have extensive medical records that show injuries consistent with lightning strikes, the Guinness Book of World Records would certify his claim as a world record due to insufficient evidence. Number 3. Dylan Nichols. 21-year-old mechanic Dylan was sitting against the garage door in his garage where he worked. He was absentmindedly eating his lunch and generally minding his own business when lightning suddenly came out of nowhere, striking him down. Apparently, the bolt ran through the door before hitting Dylan. After the strike, he was down on the ground, clutching his chest, and was complaining of pain and numbness. His co-workers actually found him that way. They immediately brought him to the hospital, but they had no idea that he was struck by lightning, and as far as they knew, he was only having a heart attack. Fortunately, the garage door took the brunt of the strike, which probably is the reason why he's still alive. Now it's time for today's best pick. Today's best pick is a submission from a subscriber just like you. So if you happen to find a weird photo such as this one online and want to know more about it, send it on over to us and we'll look into it for you. Who knows, we might even feature it in a future video. With that said, number 2. Nikolai TYUKIN. The man in the photo is Nikolai TYUKIN. On June 1st, 2019, he and his co-workers were installing a barrier fence when he was struck by lightning. According to him, the weather was pretty bad that day, and they were working under thick storm clouds. Now, he doesn't remember getting struck by lightning. One moment he was conscious and then passed out the next. When he finally came to, he was already at the hospital where he was taken to by his co-workers. Surprisingly, he felt no pain, aside from the part of his neck and chest where his necklace melted. Doctors actually believed that the necklace took the brunt of the force, thus saving Nikolai's life. His work clothes were also in tatters, with only his Puma-branded underwear and sneakers surviving. From then on, the only clothes that he bought were from Puma. Before we move on, do me a favor. My analytics show that only about 15% of you watching are actually subscribed. Come on guys, what's up with that? Can you guys please hit the subscribe button? You guys watch my videos every day anyway, so you might as well subscribe and keep up to date with every video we put out. Number 1. Roy Sullivan. Earlier, we talked about a man that claims to have been struck by lightning a total of 11 times. Unfortunately, that record couldn't be certified due to a lack of documentation. So right now, the record for the man who survived the most lightning strikes belongs to one Roy Sullivan. Roy's actually been struck by lightning 7 times between 1942 and 1977. Sullivan actually worked as a U.S. park ranger in Shenandoah National Park in Virginia, and since lightning seems to be unusually attracted to him, he was given the nickname of the Human Conductor. Once he got hit while in his truck, which acted like a Faraday's cage and diverted the electric charge to the ground, while another time he got hit inside the station. He swears up and down that the clouds followed him, and that was when he was hit the 5th and 6th time. His last encounter, though, was the craziest, when he got struck while fishing in a boat and had to fight off a bear who tried to steal his fish. I want to watch a movie about this guy, this sounds great! Alas though, there is no movie, and this is the end of this video. Do you know of anybody else who survived a lightning strike? Let us know down below in the comments. Also make sure to check out the channel's other amazing videos. As always, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Later everybody!